Hello, everybody. Welcome to Market Moves. I'm Jason, the Wizard of Ops, and with me, Jay, Dark Matter, back on the saddle. How you doing, my
Yeah,
friend?
good. How's everything with you? Happy belated Easter, but how's your Easter weekend?
Oh, things are good. Things were good. It was nice and relaxing. Holy Week is a big deal in my family, so we like to, celebrate, or for Good Friday, it's go to church and not celebrate. I guess I don't know how do you put that, but,
Yeah.
no,
No, good
we
for you
we
guys.
observe it.
That's
Boom.
right. Observe.
Um,
Observe.
yeah. So anyway, this has been a crazy month. What are you thinking, man? Fundamentally, it always seems to spike certain Volland things, and it gets to be tough to navigate this. How are you doing it, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, like I'm not swinging anything. Like if I do swing something, it's a put these days. I find rips to sell. If I'm going to swing something, it's more likely a put than a call at this point in time. I mean, I had calls in even the right direction last week, and like there's no premium. Like no one wants to buy calls, right? Like it's a tough battle out there in the options market, I would say. But my big thing is just target to target, right? Like you see these whipsaw reactions from target to target, and just when you think a bounce is going to occur, you hit the next target, and another sell occurs, right? So I think for me, how I'm dealing with this is just navigating. Vanna and VIX for me have been like my biggest pals, right? And I wait for some of those big positive magnets, right? Whether to the downside or negative Vannas to the upside here with volatility still kind of increasing. And that so far, knock on wood, has been a good playbook for me, has kept me on the right side. But I mean, it's tough. You're one statement away. I think the market is sick of it. They're tired of this whipsaw action. Like you're up 10% and down 5%, right? Like, I think people are getting tired. How are you doing?
Actually, I haven't been doing too bad. I know swinging. I've actually been swinging. I would not. Zero DTE times are tough, but yeah, I mean, like later on, we could check it out in Volland. You see, like calls are being sold everywhere, and I think that is usually the byproduct of rising rates, and we see that a lot with now that bonds are coming down. Before, when bonds came down, we saw the same thing. People want to be positive carry on these moves, so they sell a
Yeah.
lot of calls. Because of that, there's not a lot of calls that are the call implied volatility kind of comes down. So it does alter the skew quite a bit. One thing I do notice is last week, even though it was OPEX and there was a couple, you know, as the market comes down, like even pre-market today, it doesn't get down to lower lows before VIX gets to higher highs. So dealers have been expanding their ranges, their edge. They've been trying to expand their edge in this environment, and which can't blame them at all, right? Like they don't know where this is going. But you see right here, what you're showing right now, all that green above price, that's all sold calls.
Yeah.
And you look at puts below have been decreasing recently since the low. What was it, like March 7th or something, where we hit like 4,900? Since then, um, puts have not been bought that much, and mainly I think that's because bond prices have declined, that rates have gone up. So I think like from a trading standpoint, from like a how is the options being impacted by the events? I think the number one way is through the treasury market.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yields, I'm kind of looking at where they're at right now, like the overnight, the 30-year yield is at 4.88, right? You got the 10-year at 4.39, the 20-year at 4.9. Like this is, and then you look at the dollar just keeps getting hammered left and right? So there's no positivity here. And then, I kind of shared the market breadth, although let me just quickly go to that. Although we've like increased over the past couple of weeks, right? Like we got a little bit of bounce, we're well below still any sort of like bullish view of the world right now. Like we're well below that. You don't have institutional support. You nailed it on the dealer side, right? If I go into here, like this is just pure liquidity. Talk about that range. Like this is a 150-point range dealers are balancing their books right because they don't know left or right at this point in time and how far the cut is up or down. So
Yeah, but that's more like illiquidity, right?
sorry.
But yeah, the spreads have gotten a lot wider. I mean, if you want to show everybody the dealer adjusted spread, the delta adjusted dealer spread, that shows you, yeah, right there. These are levels that we don't see. Like 38, in a normal bullish market, this is like 16 is high. And yes, before last week we reached like in the 40s. But that's still not that much, that's still not great. I was talking with Lex on my Thursday show with Tradier, the I guess risk wranglers, whatever they call this now. And
I love it. The wrist wranglers.
yeah, I don't know. But he was saying that he was talking to some of his market making friends. The show before that, he was at the CBOE floor, and they were very, very happy. Like they were making money hand over fist. And how are they making money is by widening those spreads. So they're basically penalizing people for buying a ton of insurance, puts, what have you. But now we're seeing, over the past couple of weeks, it's been realized volatility has come down quite a bit, even with a 60-point drop today. That's still realized volatility coming down from the days in which, 11-point rallies were the norm.
I laugh at 11-point rallies are like 1-minute candles now.
Yeah.
30-second candles.
11%, that's what I meant. But yeah. 1,100 bips. So, but like in those times, those spreads are super wide, and dealers have been, that's how they've been making their money. And so option traders, like if you're actively trading options, like you say you are, with just puts or calls or something like that, you have to pay.
Yeah,
you have to pay a lot. So, and even if you're selling those calls, the spread between fair value and the bid is wide. That's, you still are selling it at a discount. So I think that's it's tough right now to deal with options. You're going to have to be very judicious, and that's why a lot of my positioning has been cash. But I do have like a couple. I still have end of month like long gamma plays for the vol signal, but vol signal, I mean, I think the 3 weeks ends on Wednesday or Thursday, I forget which one, but we're likely not going to rally 400 points until we do, because something dumb happens. But I'll be honest, it's not going to happen. Like, I think it may happen a little bit later, but all these kind of own goals by Trump, like I'm going to say something really dumb and the market's going to tank from it, or I'm going to take a dumb economic action that nobody likes and the market will tank from it. I'm going to, I think this next one is I'm going to fire Jerome Powell, which, trivializes monetary policy independence. So, I mean, there's a lot of, there's a lot of like kind of own goals that Trump really kind of undermined that 3-week time frame. But that 3-week time frame was an observed one anyway. It wasn't so much like for 3 weeks this happens, and because of that, that's why I picked 3 weeks. It's like it was more just an observed time frame. So I still think it will reach. It'll just be after that 3-week time frame, which will technically be, I guess, a loss, making the vol event signal 21-2. Very sad that we get that loss, but it's kind of like being a Patriots fan, I guess, in the Tom Brady era. You're 21-2 and you're upset about it. So
That's
Um,
so true. Never happy, right?
can only
uh
satisfied with wins. But
that's
um,
right.
but yeah, so the 3 week time frame will probably be extended a bit in this one, but that's that. So all right, Jay. Well, first let's go through your trade plan. I guess we'll talk about the plan for today. We'll go through the trade plan, and then we'll take a cursory look at the earnings that we have coming up with Tesla and at least Tesla and what's it, Google? Google, I think, is coming up. There
Sure.
are a bunch of other ones that'll be fun, like American Airlines. I think
Boeing,
Boeing.
yep,
Um,
and Intel.
Intel, man. I don't know.
There's a lot of defense sectors like AT&T. Think of Verizon, if I remember right here. I'm looking. Uh, I'm just kind of curious. Capital One, they just closed their deal with Discover, making them the largest loan or credit card business in the world now. So that's going to be an interesting one, just from a
Yeah.
pure macro
This,
sense. I'm kind of curious what they're up to.
yeah. How did the earning whispers make this order? They saying most anticipated. Who's anticipating O'Reilly Auto Parts over IBM or Chipotle or
Yeah,
ServiceNow? ServiceNow usually has some decent option traffic. Like
yeah,
where did
or even
O'Reilly Auto Parts? Who's anticipating that one?
yeah. I mean, over Lamb Research, right? Like,
Lame research.
uh yeah.
And
I can't speak for that. I just love their design here. It's a nice graphic, right? Easy to see, but yeah, you're right. I mean, the big call outs here again. Tesla after close tomorrow. All eyes will be on that one. It didn't do so hot with its delivery numbers, so let's see how its earnings come out. I'm always curious just from the software sector, IGV, if you kind of follow that ETF. SAP is just killing it constantly, right? And this one I just want to see if they continue this quarter. That's been an interesting stock over time. You mentioned, we mentioned Boeing, AT&T, IBM, Chipotle, obviously there as well. Lam, just the semiconductors. So it'll be interesting to see what occurs there. And then you round off the week with Google, which on Thursday, because we were closed Friday, or maybe they announced it Friday. I don't think so. But anyway, the government said you're a monopoly and you need to break up. So it sold quite a bit on Thursday. And I think, you got this like antitrust also macro, I'll call it, on the tech tickers, right?
yeah,
So that's another one to just keep watching, is whether this DOJ and they continue to press on these tech companies and do anything antitrust wise with them.
yeah. I thought Skechers. I thought there was a T in Skechers. I guess not, huh?
No, no. Yeah, see, that got you, man. I got you.
I guess
Uh
they spelled it wrong. Maybe whatever. But yeah,
yeah, that's right. All right, so that's earnings, as you said. Besides earnings, just in terms of data points, uh, like no major releases today. There's some couple minor ones here and there, but Tuesday, you got the European Bank Lagarde speaking. You got some Fed speakers, so God knows what comes out of their mouths. So just keep that in mind. Wednesday is all about manufacturing and services PMI, and then new home sales, and a few more Fed speakers, if that wasn't enough for you on Tuesday. And then Thursday, we've got the unemployment claims, durable goods orders, and then existing home sales. And then Friday, we round that off with UK retail sales, and then we'll see how consumer sentiment and inflation expectations have changed since the last reading. That was a pretty negative reading last month that we had there, or last time around. So
it
we'll see.
it keeps getting worse.
Yeah, I mean, at some
But
point, like
overall,
if you look at,
other
go ahead.
I was just saying, other than that one, I don't think there's much on the macro side. But definitely the earnings side will earnings
Yeah,
side, and we say not much on the macro side, but Trump opens his mouth and it becomes something on the macro side, right?
yeah, I was just gonna say, and Trump. admin. I'll just leave it at that, right? There's always a
Mhm.
post or a statement or a press conference or an interview from something happening. So keep that in mind. Let's keep moving on. The options market expecting about 135-point move this week. That puts us at the higher end of the range at 54.18 into the downside 51.47, which is a critical level 51.50 there on the weekly, which we'll get into.
Mhm.
We talked about market breadth. I'll kind of skip to that, but let's just jump right in, kind of what I'm looking at. From a Vanna standpoint, 5,300 coming into, as I was doing the weekend overview, was a big level. And obviously we closed below that on Thursday, kept pushing below that into, overnight action. And we actually almost hit 5,200 in the futures market. We're right now trading at roughly 52.25 SPX currently. So 5,200 is the next major support level. And if you can't get back up above 52.25 and then 52.50, like I think we're going to get more downward pressure and we're going to test more than likely this 51.50, which was a critical kind of weekly support level. And if you lose that, not only does 5,100 come, but more than likely, based on just the Vannas that are in there, we'll kind of jump into there, you're chasing potentially 5,000 at that point in time. So it can get ugly pretty quickly if 51.50 is taken out. So my plan for, I was already short coming into the weekend, just FYI. I entered with the 5,300 trigger. I did scale out a couple of contracts overnight, but I'm still in puts here. I'll lock and close those out, reassess afterwards if we get back above 52.50 is how I kind of look at it. But outside of that, like I didn't even give like a bullish bias, to be quite honest with you, Wiz, this week. I think it's, unless you can get back above 5,300, or even the safest is like you wait for 51.50 at a minimum,
Mhm.
or you just wait until we break out of 5,500. Like that, those are to me like the safest bets right now from a bullish standpoint. Otherwise, bearish buys, like we lose 5,200, it's 50 points pretty quickly there. And then I think a decision will be made on the week. Your
No,
thoughts?
yeah, I think I kind of have a bearish bias mainly because of negative aggregate Vanna on the week.
Yep.
It got positive, like you said. I think it's like 53.25 or something like that, where the aggregate Vanna this week gets positive. But right now, below that, it's negative, so it will continue to kind of it'll be rocky below there, maybe even with a bearish tint, no matter what Trump says. Um,
Yeah.
so I think like for me, 53.25 is like a huge strike, but only for this weekly Vanna.
Great.
Mhm.
We're aligned there.
Yeah.
I mean, you got earnings obviously this week. I don't do earnings as much as others, right? Tesla being one of those. Like I first of all don't even just trade Tesla on a normal day because it gets it trades like an earnings day every day. But do you have any thoughts on Tesla you want to share? You want me to pull that up?
Um, yeah, bring it up. Because
Let me
Tesla,
do this.
it's one of those that you could sit there and study its volatility and stuff. But another thing about earnings in this earnings season in particular, which we saw with JP Morgan, we're seeing with the other ones, that the earnings event vol is being overshadowed by the market event vol. Like the market is moving these stocks just as much as the earnings are, if not more. So it's earnings plays will be more difficult in this environment than earnings plays will be more difficult in this environment than most. That being said, Tesla does have a ton of sold calls. Remember, we were talking about that positive carry, and Tesla always has high implied volatility. So you'll see calls that are way up in the stratosphere, especially since Tesla was trading at like 400 earlier this year. Um, So you'll see calls that are sold way, way high. But yeah, and that's all. So I think, I mean, fundamentally, who knows what Tesla's going to do? I mean, their delivery numbers were poor. There is kind of like a backlash. It's funny that just like 5 years ago or maybe less, Elon Musk was a hero to the climate change, kind of liberal left as somebody who was popularizing electric cars. And now he's transitioning to they are now the enemy. And, he's right, kind of more right-wing leaning for electric cars. So, I mean, it's kind of strange, and you see like vandalism now on Teslas, and people. My next door neighbor sold their Tesla to get a Toyota something electric. So it's kind of it's interesting to see that dynamic. But regardless, fundamentally, like I said, the event vol is being overshadowed a lot by the market vol. I do think if there is a Vanna crunch, which again, because market vol is very high, especially in this name, if there is a Vanna crunch, you'll probably get a rise, but that market vol is going to persist. So you can't really count on it that much on all earnings plays.
Yeah, I mean, some of these, like, even if it has really bad earnings, like this thing can get to 170 pretty dang quick.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of put support in this, right? Go ahead.
But those red strikes there, though, I think are puts. Yeah, those. So the imbalance favors bullish after earnings, because then if there's like a gamma run, it can gamma run up pretty high to that first like green pole there, the big one. But again, this is, we're in a situation where market dynamics will have more of an impact than, if Trump, if Tesla comes in and their deliveries are terrible and their revenues are terrible, but Trump comes out and says we made a deal with China, it's going to close up. Like that's what that's why I say like you kind of have to be careful with your fundamental theses on kind of these idiosyncratic things.
Agree with you there. I'm aligned. Again, I have no money on this one. I'm going to be an observer and watching it closely. But I mean, so far earnings, you've had pretty positive earnings from the companies who reported, the financial industries and sector specifically. So this being the first quote unquote kind of tech and consumer discretionary company, be a lot of eyes on this one and see how it turns. But I think what clearly this is shaping up to be is this isn't like go put your money in the Mag 7 kind of market and be done with it, right? Like you're going to have to be very selective if you're trying to find a good ticker to run and rally into this year. Like you got to be very selective. Like I think that game is still very much in play. Your thoughts?
Yeah, you will have to be selective. And you'll have to pay more attention to the macro impacts on that particular stock rather than the, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there'll be some that'll be strategically smooth and smart about how they handle things. I don't think Tesla will be one of them. I mean, I guess you could say Tesla would be the most genius one of them because their owner, their primary shareholder, I guess you could say, has embedded himself in the fray. So you could say Tesla is the most impactful, but it seems like right now we're in the backlash stages. One thing I would do though with Tesla is see the term of those Vannas. We could do that with our 3D chart, and we could do it later because the 3D chart's tough. You kind of have to like zoom in and out and stuff like that to see it right. But we'll see what the term is on these Vannas, and that might be a good time to invest bullishly in Tesla because that's when the implied volatility or realized volatility really will come down a little bit exponentially, and that would help this stock a bit. But
Agreed.
But yeah, as far as earnings go, I don't know. But yeah, you could switch up to switch up to Google, because I think Google will have more of a chance of
Yeah, whoops, let me get back there.
of
We had a
getting at
bunch of
least
questions
something.
too. I didn't want to forget. I just saw the chat and realized we have not been looking at the questions. So let's get into Google here
We'll
really
do. You
quickly.
want to do questions instead of Google?
I mean, here, if you just want to quickly touch while we're at it here,
Yeah,
your
Google's
thoughts on
very
Google.
similar. Like, it's a lot of people selling calls, not buying puts, because they want to be, in this very high interest rate environment, they want to be positive carry. So a lot of people are selling calls. And that's another thing too, is, interest rates do have a decent impact on Vanna. And we do, I think we do the 10-year rate in Volland. That's kind of our risk-free yeah. So you will see that impact quite a bit. But so if you see bonds start to rally, if you see treasuries start to rally for whatever reason, I don't know what that reason would be right now, but if it happens, the whole market will probably move up quite a bit.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Potentially there. Let's see,
Yeah.
too much macro going on here outside of earnings. Now you
Yeah.
got this 90-day tariff wait and what the outcome of it is. Like, you come into July, God knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. And with Google too, you got legal issues. So there's a lot
Yeah.
fundamentally with Google that you can't really just look at the revenues, and they'll probably, most of these companies with earnings, especially like Boeing, where China has stopped buying Boeing planes, stuff like that, you can't really predict on earnings. They're going to be holding forward guidance probably. So there's going to be a lot of uncertainty in these earnings, and I think the market, I think the overall market volatility is going to overshadow pretty much any earnings move.
Yeah, great. And then if you don't get a good earnings, they're going to crush you. Just FYI.
Well, that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
All right,
right.
let's get into questions here. We got a few of those, excuse me.
Yep. What do you make of the complete wipeout of liquidity in the SPX structure? Bid to offer usually in the hundreds. Now it's like a 4 lot and sustained. Yeah, we kind of talked about that earlier. In the dealers are demanding a lot more edge in their trading. And as much as you want to say like wipeout of liquidity, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, Friday, I think we had the highest record of volume in options ever. It was over 100 million. It was like a big celebration point in the option community, like CBOE people. They were very happy to see over 100 million options traded in a day. That's first time that's happened. So yes, liquidity is low, but volumes are up very high. So I think it's it comes to that spreads, and that's when, if you are a Volland sub, you watch those spreads. There's we call it the DADS, the Delta Adjusted Dealer Spread. That essentially is determining the market, and that is reflected in the VIX. So something that you were talking about before. What I like to try to do in these scenarios is wait for undervixing and then do a small bullish kind of move, because undervixing usually takes some time to get through the market, and the liquidity gets a little better, and then people kind of layer in a little bit. There's like a slow progression. Usually it can take a day or two, maybe 3. So you do kind of like a 1 week delta. I call it delta butterfly, like off center, a little bit bullish, and just hope that Trump doesn't open up his mouth for the next 2-3 days, and you can cash. That hope is usually small, so definitely always risk very, very small. That's kind of how that's my plan basically for now, for the next 4 years, I guess, next 3.5 years. Anyway, yeah. Well, yeah, we were just talking about that, Derek. Dealers are very willing to sell contracts just at a very steep price, and it's more customers are not willing to buy them.
Yeah, you just have to hit the offer, right? Like the bid, if you're selling, ask. If you're
Right.
buying, like you're just not getting even midpoint, prices at this point.
Well, yeah, it depends though, because if you are with a service that is using what's it? It's uh the auctioning thing, Robinhood. That's
Oh,
I can't get the
Citadel
yeah, well, no, the Citadel. I'm talking
or
about like the broker
CBOE.
dealers that do the auction process. What is that called? It's on the tip of my tongue. It's gonna bother me forever. Anyway, the
I can't think of it right now. It's too early.
payment for order
It's
flow,
Monday.
PFOF.
Yeah.
Got it. Payment for order flow. If you're on a payment for order flow service, you are getting like no fills.
Yeah.
Because and it's not so much like when Derek is talking about like the 4 lots, those are customers. Those are not dealers. Those are customers trying to get a half decent price, and dealers
Okay.
aren't adhering to them. So that's why you're not seeing the 100 lots or whatever, right? Okay. How about China? How about China? I don't know. I don't know that, how to answer that question. Do you?
I mean, in general, China's still news. That news hasn't
Yeah.
gone away. It's still risky. It's macro and it's part of the tariffs, right? So
Yeah.
we'll leave it at
Well,
that.
they're in deflation. Like and honestly, like the tariffs are going to hurt them. So I mean, there is a chance that they could come back with some deal or something. But
Great.
yeah, we'll see. Are there any signs of call buying or it's all bear? Well, it's called selling, and that doesn't necessarily mean bear. It's just people trying to collect carry. Yeah, that's one. Kramer's question's actually pretty. It call buying is bearish. Like I know the impulse because we are retail traders, and you think like call buying is bullish, but options are primarily used to hedge. So call buying would be hedging short positions. We're seeing a lot of call selling, and that's because there are a lot of institutions that are they're not selling all their portfolio, but they're definitely selling calls on it because they're trying to collect that interest, that carry. So Joey Chen, when do you expect the 5670 or never? Like kind of like what I said, I think this week is pretty dicey. You're gonna get, you're gonna need some fundamental news to push up. I following like the 0 to 30 expiration is kind of bullish. I mean, May has quite a bit of put support, relatively speaking. But so I think before May OPEX we can reach it. But again, we keep getting these own goals by Trump saying something dumb and kind of undermining the market and the economy, really. So I don't know. Do you see 5670? I mean,
I
even
mean,
after this week.
the pot, like you said, here's like May OPEX, right? Like, I
Mhm.
mean, 5,000 is pretty dang supportive, right? So if you do see price down there, like that's worth a shot, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I would love to see this zone right here, 5,100, 5,150. I'd like to see some more accumulation occur here. And I think you can start to rock and roll a little bit, right? And it's interesting that you're getting to this level, which might springboard us up into earnings or with earnings, I should say. So, like,
Mhm.
I think that's the outlook here right now is like, wait for 5,150. I think it trades here or nearby it, right? But like I think that's the opportunity you enter, for May OPEX or even go a month further out and just let it ride for a little bit, right? And play a little bit of a hedge if you want to. But I think earnings so far, I think they're going to come in fine. I think we should get a little bit of a rally after we get a little bit of the selling control here. But again, to your point, like it's just so hard with Trump. I'll just leave it at that, right? Like you're a statement away, a tweet
Right.
away.
That 5,700 strike right there is interesting to me. I mean, that's seems like a call buy, I guess.
Yep.
But there have been so many. I mean, there's a lot more red Vanna right up there above price. And one thing we've noticed in a lot of the traffic is there's been a lot of short vol moves. A lot of it's targeting like May 2nd, where people are putting on condors. And it's been going like now on monthly time frames. I know there's been a big deal made of Captain Condor. It does like 1 DTE condors, but and four-legged spreads in this illiquid environment. Dealers love Captain Condor right now, even if they lose a little bit, on the actual trade. They love him. But regardless, that 5,700 strike seems to be like a breakout strike. Like that would be on the upside. Those red strikes too, that are, before that 5,700, I think that's where you'd have to get to before you get confident in reaching 5,670.
Yeah.
You have to break past those. Yeah.
Yep, right here.
Yeah. So the answer is, well, I would say the vol event was a loss, so it'd be a 21-2 vol, signal. But yeah, I think we could get there before the end of May. If, I think also, I'm saying that, as much as I'm saying there's a lot of own goals by Trump, I think there's going to be a parade of countries, even small countries, that he'll strike a deal with, and that'll cause at least a little bit of a rally to, at least say that deals are being made. There's a willingness to make deals on both sides. So, but I don't think if somebody gets announced, Vietnam, we have a deal, I don't think it'll be another 11% rally. And that's because we're not in the midst of a lot of put buys like we were the last time. That was just like keep stretching that slingshot back and back and back and back and back until there was one little release and there was an 11% rally. We're not in that situation. Like any rally would probably be most 2%, maybe 3%. So, so I wouldn't buy calls for that. But how do you trade futures in this market when it can move 300 points in a second? I have several answers to that. Number one, you don't. Number two, you have tight stops, right? Number three, lower sizing, right? I mean, I don't know. You're the one trading futures in this, Jay. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's having a plan and analysis, and I'll go here to last week, right? And again, having a plan, waiting patiently for it, right? Give me just 1 second here. I mean, even said here, below 5,300, it's a big deal, even for like a swing, right? And over to overnight. And I said it even here as well, right? Watch for a breakdown of 5,300. Puts are going to need a catalyst, right? And last Sunday, when I wrote this, our catalyst actually was going up, right? We had some positive tariff news, China trade news, right? And then Peter Navarro and Trump came in the middle of that day and just smacked that, right? So that was your catalyst. They pushed up the price up to 54.50 last week and then slammed it home, right? And I'm not going to predict tops and bottoms here, but I will have an analysis where a key level breaks and I'm going to run with it, right? And if you look at here, I said last week even, you watch for 5,300 to break, where is it going to chase? Right? So to me, it's having that trade plan, believing in the data, your thesis, your theory, understanding all this. I know it's not simple, and you gotta. It takes a little bit of time, but once you do that, have the plan, trust me, and then you do all the things you mentioned. Stop loss, you mitigate risk, don't go full port, right? Like right now, I'm trading 1 or 2 contracts, Wiz, because of how high the premiums are and because of the volatility, the whipsaw, right? I don't want to get emotionally deteriorated because it's whipsawing me, but I have the right move.
Yeah, well, you could also do MES, right?
That's very true as well. You could definitely do the micros, yes.
Yeah. How strong is the 5,000 level? We talked about that. It's pretty strong. That would be my breaking point. Like if you have like some kind of short vol kind of move, 5,000 would be a strong support. Either put something on there with a tight stop or, on a swing basis even. So so the 47, yes, it would be a resistance level. That's kind of why I said if you break above it, then it would run. But you have a lot of green around that 5,700, and that's why it's not as strong of a resistance as you would normally see. Those 4 reds, though, to me are the biggest resistance because there's no green around them. You have to pass those to get to 5,670. Your thoughts, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, I said it, I think earlier, like you want to play the safe trade, you got to wait for 5,500 to break, or this cluster right here. You break that cluster and you're going to run into 5,700 then at least, right? So that to me is your 200-point swing there, or you reject this and you start going back down again, right?
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's the level I would sell anything bullish is in those 4 towers. You might miss out on some bullishness if it breaks out, but if you do anything bullish, those 4 towers are probably where I'd sell. So, all right. So we finished our questions. Been on for 40 minutes. So, Jay, good luck this week.
As always, there's always
Yeah,
in the Trump ad, man. Good luck with your trades.
yeah. Stay nimble out there, everybody, and may Volland help you with your future trading ventures.